wisdom story, The Firelight of FirstFruits. Back for another great time spent with grandkids eager to learn. So many questions, but that is exactly how they learn. Grandpa takes his job very seriously. And all know by now how much Grandpa loves sitting around the fire. Best classroom without a desk. The aroma and atmosphere, the scent of pine and smoke drifted gently through the air as Grandpa leaned back in his old comfortable chair, his Bible resting on his lap. The owl hooted once as if giving permission for Grandpa to begin. Tonight I want to share with you a story that stretches from the days of Moses all the way into the future, to a time we've only read about in the scriptures. Grandpa began, his voice rich with meaning. It's the story of the first fruits, and what they mean for you, for me, and for the world to come. Why does our Creator speak so much about first fruits and put such emphasis on them? The children leaned in as Grandpa opened his instruction book. In the Old Testament, God told the Israelites to bring the first of their harvest, the first fruits, to Him as an offering. The first of the first fruits of your land shall bring into the house of the Lord your God. Exodus 23:19. They were to offer the very best, the first part, because it showed their faith and obedience. It was a sign that they all had come from the Creator. They were those that were obedient. These early harvests pointed to something much greater. He turned a few pages and tapped gently on Leviticus 23. During the Feast of First Fruits, the priest would wave a sheaf of barley before God, the wave sheaf offering, as a symbol of the beginning of the harvest. When was this done, Grandpa asked, checking to see which of the grandkids had been reading. Well, a couple of them answered the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Yes, that is correct. That is how we know how to calculate to the day of Pentecost or the Feast of Weeks. But now listen closely, kids, Grandpa said, his eyes twinkling. That barley sheaf, that first grain, it pointed to Jesus. But now Christ is risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. 1 Corinthians 15:20. Jesus, after his resurrection, became the very first to rise from the dead, never to die again. Why? Because Jesus was God in the flesh, and as a God being had to be sacrificed for mankind's sins. Just like that first sheaf of grain was lifted up to God, Jesus was lifted up, resurrected, lived a perfect life, and had to be presented to God the Father, and then returned as a spirit being to teach the apostles for 40 days. Jesus was what Grandpa asked? They said first of the first fruits, 1 Corinthians 15:23. So now we see how the holy days listed in Leviticus 23 are pointing to the future. The flames danced as if in agreement. But there's more, Grandpa continued, holding up one finger. In the New Testament, the first fruits also represent those who are called now, in this age, to follow Jesus faithfully. That's you and me, if we listen to his calling. How do we show him we love him? That's correct, kiddos. If we love him, we do his commandments. Yes, John 14:15. Please like, subscribe, and share, because the learning isn't stopping. According to his own will, he begat us by the word of truth, that we might be a kind of first fruits of all his created beings. James 1:18. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. Revelation 14:4. How do we do this? We follow the Lamb, which is Jesus. How? John 14:15. He paused and looked around at the grandkids. That means there will be a much larger harvest later, but God is working with a small group now. Those he's calling to be trained, prepared, and changed. Trained for what, Grandpa? One of the little ones asked. Grandpa smiled. To help Jesus during the millennium, 1,000 years of peace when he will rule the earth. The first fruits will serve alongside him, teaching the world about God's way of life, truth, love, justice, and mercy, and also preparing for the resurrection at the end of the millennium. Revelation 26. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Revelation 20 verse 6. This has to be the first fruits serving with God. The first resurrection is for the faithful. Those who died in Christ will be raised to immortal life, and those still alive at his return will be changed in a moment. They will become spirit beings, like Jesus. 1 Corinthians 15:51-54. GrandPa stirred the fire. Sparks rose like tiny stars. But at the end of the millennium, he said, his tone quiet and reverent, there will be another resurrection. The second resurrection, or resurrection back to a physical life, as in Ezekiel 37, a time when all who never knew God's truth will be brought back to life. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. Revelation 20:12, judgment by God. So it is important that we listen to what Jesus taught. These will be resurrected as physical human beings, given a full chance to learn God's way, to choose him, and to walk in his love. As Exodus 37 describes, but remember Satan will be loosed, Revelation 27. Says Satan and the demons will be tormented day and night into the ages of eternity. Verse 11. Then the great white throne judgment, a time of judgment. Verse 11 and 12. Books were opened and they were judged by what? GrandPa asked. Works. The kids replied. One of the older grandkids looked up. So we're learning now so we can help others later? GrandPa's smile grew wide. Exactly. You see, if we are faithful now, if we follow Jesus with all our heart, we'll be part of the first fruits. That means we'll be teachers, helpers, leaders of kindness in the world to come. The fire popped as a log settled. The stars above seemed to shimmer brighter. God isn't done with the world, GrandPa said softly. He's just getting started. The first fruits are the beginning, but the full harvest will come. That's how loving and patient our God is. He looked into the eyes of each child. So tonight, as we sit here in the peace of the woods, remember, each of you has a place in this story, a purpose, a calling. And if you follow God now with humility, kindness, and truth, you can be part of the first fruits who will build a world full of peace, just like Isaiah 11 says, a world where the lion will lie down with the lamb, and no one will hurt or destroy. Absolutely, GrandPa said. Please go back and watch previous videos on these subjects, and like, subscribe, and share. There is much more GrandPa plans to teach the kids. There is so much our instruction book has to say. After all, what could be more important than eternity? Our Creator gave us the instruction book to get there. See y'all next week. Have a great week, and please comment if there is something you would like us to discuss. Grandkids will always be eager to learn. Message to parents and grandparents. As you teach your children and grandchildren, remind them that God's plan is a harvest. First, the first fruits, then the greater ingathering. Encourage them to live with purpose and integrity now, as they may be preparing to guide many others in the future. Let your home be a place where truth is planted and where hope for the kingdom grows deep. These are all scriptures out of our instruction book. As the grandkids like to tell GrandPa, peace out.